one of my thought videos, I talked about whether leaders can find a space to reflect on what they do. So, Nina, I thought you might have some ideas about how you can actually build that into your day.
Yeah. No, I know there've been a lot of buzzwords going around, things like journaling and mindfulness and things like that. But I'm not very good at that because I tend to find it's another draw on my time, and because of another time commitment, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this about the question of how could we reflect more, and I think it's just even taking a shorter amount of time when you get off the call with that client or when you're walking out of the meeting, just to check in with yourself really, and how do you feel? Not necessarily how the meeting went, but really just how do you feel as a person when you're coming out of that meeting, and if anything jumps out at you, if anything shifted, if anything feels uncharacteristic.
To actually take time and notice it. Yes, I think that's a really helpful thought. I know I tend to come out of meetings and hop on my phone and start, either consuming news or doing emails. It's very easy to push that time away. I know, it's interesting you talk about journaling and mindfulness. There feels like there's a real pressure on leaders to be permanently positive. And it's healthy to have a positive perspective. For me, what it says is it stops people recognizing other emotions or treating them kindly. You might be cross, you might be worried, upset, perplexed, whatever. I don't journal, but I do have a place where I will, if I'm particularly confused or not sure about something, then I'll make a note. And that gives me something to go back to. So I will go back, look through them and go, oh, look, there's a pattern. I can see, when I'm in this kind of situation, this kind of happens.
Absolutely. And I think it's so helpful to be able to just give yourself that time, whether as you say, you get a chance to note it down or even just register that feeling of perhaps discomfort, or sometimes, I know it happens to me, you come out of a meeting and you feel that I was disappointing, or I didn't do my best in that meeting, and it might be true, but if you give yourself a chance to really reflect a bit more as you're walking to the car or driving away or whatever, then you might be able to say, actually, I did my job. I did the same as I would do every day. So perhaps what you're picking up on in that interaction, perhaps you are picking up on maybe an insecurity from the other side that is making you feel something that perhaps might not belong to you. And if you give yourself that time to reflect, there might be an opportunity for you not to hold on to something that perhaps doesn't belong to you, and use that as data for that relationship or for that interaction.
And I think we were talking before this about the idea of reality checking or reality testing. That it's very easy, and I do this. This happens to me. I know when this happens. I come away from a meeting. I feel quite strongly that something, and I tend to attribute it to me. But it's being able to take a step back and then actually look at the facts, take it as data, and lay the facts out. And I think that sort of next step that you've talked about, that's the psychodynamic piece, is what I'm feeling may not belong to me. That might sound a bit strange to think about, but it's a thing. It's what people use. We use this in our working world. Yeah. So that idea of reality testing, are there any thoughts that you've got on how does one even do that?
I guess it helps if we can be aware, of ourselves a bit more. In general, I think it's always helpful to know when you go into a meeting that I've done my preparation, I know my stuff, and I know that I can do this job. Sometimes we go into a meeting and we just can't get our words out.
Yeah.
Interesting, right? Because it's, what is it in that room that stops you from being able to articulate what you would normally be able to do? And yes, there might be nerves, but there also might be something in the room. There might be a dynamic in that room that is perhaps not allowing an open discussion sometimes, or or maybe there is some sort of unconscious communication that's going on, right? So thinking about psychodynamics, as you say, it's a little bit about the unconscious communication as well as the verbal communication.
No, that's really great. Thank you, Nina. I think that's probably given our people some food for thought.
Thank you.